The night was silent, but it wasn't the kind of silence that brings peace. It was the silence that makes your heart beat louder than your footsteps. Welcome back to C.S. Lewis Spirit. Tonight, we step into a story that is far darker and more unsettling than anything you've ever imagined. The title alone carries a weight of mystery. The shocking truth about demons drinking blood to control futures. But what does it really mean? What if I told you that behind the ordinary lives we live, behind the routines we follow every day, there are forces moving unseen. Forces that do not just whisper into human thoughts but claim to shape destinies themselves. For centuries, people across cultures have spoken of shadowy beings that feed not just on fear but on something deeper, something far more personal, our very essence. Legends from ancient temples, medieval scrolls, and forgotten tribes describe a haunting ritual where demons are believed to drink blood, not out of hunger, but to gain power over the future. They weren't just stealing life, they were rewriting fate. And this wasn't just folklore passed around a campfire. This belief has surfaced in hidden manuscripts, whispered prayers, and forbidden rituals that were never meant to see daylight. Imagine for a moment that every choice you've ever made wasn't entirely yours. That strange pull you felt at crossroads, that moment when you thought luck or coincidence saved you, what if it wasn't chance at all? What if someone or something had already written the script of your life? The chilling part is, those who have claimed to witness these rituals say that blood was never about survival. It was about binding, about a contract no human could easily break. Once marked, the future of that person no longer belonged to them. But here's the twist. Not all who have encountered these forces have remained silent. Hidden journals from exorcists, secret testimonies from people who escaped possession, and even ancient biblical warnings all speak of a war not just over souls, but over timelines. These stories describe how demons manipulate events, delaying victories, causing sudden losses, or steering lives into chaos. And according to these accounts, the drinking of blood was their way of anchoring themselves into the future of a person's life. Now, you might be asking, is this all just myth, or is there something more sinister behind it? Why do so many cultures, separated by oceans, by centuries, repeat the same terrifying theme? Were they all imagining the same story, or were they all pointing to the same dark truth? Tonight, we are going to peel back the layers of this mystery. We will uncover testimonies of people who claim to have survived demonic possession. We will look at how blood has always been tied to spiritual power in both sacred rituals and forbidden ones. And we'll see how the belief in controlling the future through these acts has haunted humanity from the beginning of time. But here is the question you must carry with you as we move forward. If demons really do have the power to drink blood and shape futures, then whose life might they already be controlling? Maybe even yours? The answers won't come easily. And what I'm about to reveal next may change the way you see every choice you've ever made. Stay with me. The truth is darker than you think. The deeper you look into these stories, the more disturbing the conflict becomes. It isn't just about demons drinking blood. It is about a hidden struggle for control, where human will is tested against powers that thrive in the shadows. People who came forward with their accounts often described the same terrifying feeling, as if their lives were no longer their own. They spoke of waking in the middle of the night with voices whispering futures that had not yet happened, dreams that unfolded days later exactly as they were seen. Was it prophecy, or was it manipulation? That is where the tension lies. One man's journal told of losing everything, not by chance, but in a sequence of events that seemed too precise to be random. His family, his work, even his health seemed pushed toward ruin as though invisible hands were guiding him. Another story described a woman who swore she saw shadowy figures circling her in the dark, draining not just her strength but her hope, while she felt her future slipping into someone else's grasp. These aren't just tales of fear, they reveal a greater conflict about who really holds authority over destiny. The human soul or the forces that seek to dominate it. The subplots grow even stranger when you realize how many cultures echo the same theme. Ancient myths from faraway lands, biblical warnings about powers of darkness, and modern accounts from people who claim to survive possession all weave together into a single haunting narrative. Some say demons manipulate through temptation, others through ritual, but the purpose is always the same: control. What remains unresolved is the question of why. Why go to such lengths to bend a single life? And if they can shape the future of one person, what stops them from shaping the fate of entire generations? The answer hides in the shadows, waiting. And as we move forward, the truth only grows darker. The conflict deepens when we realize this battle is not just distant folklore but something that seems to touch the edges of ordinary lives. Strange patterns appear, unexplainable accidents, sudden changes of fortune, moments when entire futures are redirected without warning. People who claim to have witnessed these shifts say it feels as though time itself bends, as if unseen forces are editing the story of their lives. It is here the tension rises, because the question becomes unavoidable. Are we living freely, or are destinies being written in secret by powers we cannot see? Those who study ancient manuscripts warn that blood was never the true goal. It was only the key. The real aim was to chain human futures, to tether tomorrow to the will of something beyond human understanding. Testimonies from survivors describe nights where shadows grew heavier, whispers echoed louder, and choices became clouded until they could no longer tell if decisions were theirs. And each time they resisted, the pressure grew stronger, pulling them closer to a breaking point. The climax of this mystery circles around one chilling idea. What if the world itself is caught in this unseen conflict? If demons truly manipulate through possession, rituals, and hidden agreements, then entire nations, leaders, and generations could be under invisible influence. Every war, every collapse, every sudden rise might not be history unfolding naturally, but history being controlled. The stakes could not be higher because if this is true, humanity is not just living in the present, it is living in a future already stolen. And just as the tension peaks, as patterns connect and shadows grow bolder, one terrifying thought lingers. The next life they seek to control may already be chosen, and it could be closer than anyone dares to believe. Just when it feels as though the mystery could not grow darker, another twist emerges, one that pushes the conflict far beyond the individual. Hidden in scattered accounts and secret testimonies is the suggestion that demons do not act alone. Instead, they form networks, moving like shadows across generations, linking one life to another. Survivors often describe how the strange disturbances in their own lives did not end with them. The same patterns of manipulation seem to pass on to their children, as if the binding force had leapt from one future to the next. This second revelation shakes the entire foundation of the story, because it suggests that what was once thought to be a personal struggle may actually be a chain, stretching endlessly through bloodlines. Some ancient writings hint that these powers are not only concerned with controlling single people, but with weaving entire family destinies into their plans. A son repeating the downfall of his father, a daughter trapped in the fears her mother once carried. Such cycles may not be coincidence. They may be carefully constructed designs, set in motion long before anyone even realized they were caught inside them. And if this is true, then every decision we make may already be entangled in battles fought long before we were born. The tension escalates further when researchers uncover evidence suggesting these rituals were not just practiced in secret temples or hidden caves, but within powerful circles across history. Kings, leaders, and rulers may have unknowingly stepped into agreements that allowed their futures, and the futures of those they governed, to be shaped by something darker. Wars that broke out suddenly, alliances that shattered overnight, unexplained downfalls of great empires. Could they all be traces of this invisible hand guiding human destiny? The most chilling detail, however, lies in the testimonies of those who tried to resist. They describe how the more they fought against the pull, the more reality itself seemed to twist around them. Opportunities closed, relationships broke, strange accidents unfolded, as if the very fabric of their futures was fighting to stay under control. It wasn't just about demons drinking blood to manipulate destiny. It was about tightening chains each time someone tried to break free. Now the stakes are higher than ever. This isn't simply about one person's future, but the possibility that entire generations are being pulled into a design far more complex than anyone imagined. And as the story edges closer to its breaking point, one truth becomes harder to ignore. If the cycle continues, the future of humanity itself may already be written, and the ink is darker than anyone dares to see.